freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 288 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is surviving an unprovoked attack, and our guest is Mychael Waller Sr. Mychael is the youngest African-American federal firearms licensed dealer in Illinois. He is the CEO and owner of an online gun store, MJ's Firearms, LLC and Protect One outdoor range and training facility. After surviving a self-defense shooting with his son, he had further motivation to become an advocate and trainer for gun safety and the freedom of law-abiding citizens to bear arms to protect themselves and their family. And he strongly encourages all firearm holders the importance of maintaining firearm training, education, and acquiring the skills necessary to survive. Thanks for being on the show, Mychael.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the show. And welcome to the little guy back there. We see him sneaking around.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Look at you. And look at you here. We're seeing you in double.
Is that him? Is that you?
You didn't have any teeth then, man.
Well, they grew in nicely.
All right. Hey, yeah, make sure you guys be quiet. Okay, tell her you're going on.
Okay.
All right, baby.
Man.
That's my little guy right there, MJ.
Priceless. You know, it's so funny. I was thinking, women, we grow up, we get married, and we change our name, and men never do that. But then it was like I kept noticing the senior on the end of your name, and I'm like, yes, they do when they have a son, and then they pass their name along.
Yeah.
So did you name the gun shop after your son?
Yep, MJ's Firearms. My business is named after my son, not me. A lot of people think my name is MJ, and it's not. Everybody call me MJ, and I'm like, that's not my name. That's my son's name.
Awesome.
So I named it after my son. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Well, as I showed, I held up this magazine, this concealed carry magazine, where this amazing cover photo, which all by itself is just beautiful, father and son. But then the title of the article, Why He Trains Father and Son. Oh, your son was there when you survived this unprovoked attack. And I hate it when I'm interviewing people and asking them to relive the worst moments of their life, but we learn so much from those experiences vicariously. So can you just kind of tell us what this is all about?
Oh, the concealed carry. I feel very honored too. Big shout out to Mike over at USCCA. USCCA is a great company. They Law Shield and a few others reached out to me, even the NRA. But it's just something about USCCA. I really like how they structure their company there, the way how they reached out to me, how they just how they engaged with me and my son and the things that they did. So I feel very appreciative of USCCA and their business. The magazine article kind of started a while back. This shooting happened in 2019, Memorial Day weekend. It was the 27th. I was involved in a self-defense shooting that happened in Chicago. It was around maybe 4:00 in the afternoon. I was coming from a training event. It was held in St. Louis, Missouri by Kevin Dixie of No Other Choice Firearms Training. Yep. It's called Train and Learn the Industry event. It's a great, really, really great event. It's kind of similar to the WALF. They kind of have similar, curriculums, but different. And that was my first initial training event actually with guns. Very grateful, not even knowing 16 hours later I was going to be involved in something that was going to change my life and my son's life. And 4 o'clock afternoon, excuse me too. I'm sorry if anybody can't hear me with this mask on. I have allergic reactions. Just want everybody to know that. But 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was walking. I was in Chicago with my son. We were going to see my girlfriend. It's like the southwest side of Chicago. It's not too far from the local county jail and stuff. Going to go visit her, where a gunman approached us in the alley. I was had my son in my right hand. When he approached me, he assumed I was in a gang or a gang, just some kind of gang. And when he started approaching me, throwing up gang signs, he pulled out a firearm with his offhand, so I believe his left hand. No, I'm sorry, his right hand and his left hand. He's throwing up gang signs, starts to approach me. I feel threatened. I immediately grabbed my son and I shielded him and put him behind the house. He was about, even as I shielded him, in Chicago, everything is very small. Kind of like if you've ever been to New York City, you'll probably understand how it is. So like everything is really, really, the houses and everything is really close. So as I, kind of like pushed him off to the side and kind of, shielded him behind some cover, I then go for my gun. As I go for my gun, he, shoots off a round at me. My son is kind of traumatized and he was, froze up. I immediately when I heard the round, I returned fire, shooting him. Didn't go like the movies. I thought if somebody gets shot, they just fall out. That's not really what happened. As I shoot him and, he's still moving and, we still, exchanging gunfire at each other. And, I kind of sidestep behind the fence and get some slight cover. And as he, I guess he stopped shooting for a brief second. And when he picked his head up, that's when I shot him. And the only spot he had available, which was his head at that moment. And he, laid out there and he later died in the hospital. I believe he was pronounced dead on the scene, and they actually were able to get his heart back going and put him on life support. And he died 3 days later in the hospital due to gunshot to the head. It's unfortunate. I'm a Christian. I don't ever think it's right to actually really kill someone, but I do believe it's necessary at sometimes. And this is one of those times. I feel very grateful to NRA. They fought for our rights to get concealed carry about 7 years ago. I'll say 7 years ago. I'm getting old. About 7 years ago, they fought for our rights to get concealed carry here in this in Illinois. It's a non-gun friendly state. We actually got it, so I feel very grateful that the NRA. A lot of people are kind of on the fence with them right now. I know they didn't make some of the best decisions, but I don't believe no one organization is always right. They did do some good things, and that was a good thing, and it ended up, saving me and my son's life. So very grateful for the, NRA fighting for our rights and, fighting for my right to actually have a gun and carry it that day.
Wow, that is just incredible. And I guess where my brain goes is, this is a traumatizing event for you and your son. So there's got to be some, emotional aftermath. How is your son? How is MJ?
MJ, well, you seen him. He's still a happy-go-lucky kid. We did seek some Christian counseling after.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still go quite often. Not so much as him because he's so busy with his e-learning school stuff, so he really doesn't have a time to sit down with a counselor. If I notice, I watch him very closely. We're very close, so if he does anything strange, or if he's his behavior is changing, I go back to that and think like, hey, let me let him speak with a counselor or someone who can help him out, because he may be suffering from some PTSD or something like that. I want to speak on that. A lot of people think PTSD is just for people who were either in the military or in a it happens. It's a mental issue, and it's happening all over the world. And that is a really traumatizing event for me and my son, seeing someone actually having to physically shoot someone in the head and then walk up to him and see his head with a hole in his head.
Yeah.
A lot of blood. it's definitely traumatizing. If you're not traumatized by something like that, you're probably not human.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
for anyone, that's a pretty big deal. So my son and I, after just dealing with it after, it can be challenging at sometimes because me and him both, at least not him as much, but me, he didn't really actually see the guy. I kind of shielded him because I didn't want him to see that.
Hmm.
He didn't see the things I actually have to physically walk up there and actually see.
Yeah.
Um, it it's different for me because I think about it all the time. Um, I I sometimes, I have my mind kind of took picture memories. I don't even know if you ever heard of something called the tunnel vision, but if
Hmm.
you're in a situation where you're really traumatized like that, but you're focused and you're actually moving, you can sometimes get in what you call tunnel vision. And that whole time, I kind of play back the memory of what happened, but I only have pictures.
Sure.
So that kind of sometimes it kind of bothers me because I feel like, hey Mike, what really all happened? Because everything happened so fast, but it went so slow in my head.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you kind of sometimes I feel kind of confused on what actually happened. you know Still to this day, I still cannot believe how someone can be in a shooting or anything like that and actually remember what happened. At least for me, at least I just feel like that's almost impossible. Before I watch the TV shows and stuff like that, and I'll be like, you don't know what happened, you were right there. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's too much
Well,
going on, your heart
it
rate,
is.
it's
Yeah.
way too intense. So, and after the shooting, me and my son, we just, whenever I feel like I'm going through hard times or I feel like I'm having issues with it, I just go back, and look at, hey, my son, this is what you did it
Yes.
for. I spend a lot of time with him. If I feel any kind of way, I just go and hug him, or we go out to eat, and it kind of makes everything better. Even without going to a counselor, because
Yeah.
that's what I did it for. So
Michael,
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through what you had to go through, and I know the pain's there and it will always be with you. But the good side of this is that, could you imagine if you wouldn't have had a firearm, if you wouldn't have been able to defend him, that you would have left your son fatherless, or worse than that, that your son would have been killed in that event, and you would always say, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? So you're very blessed that you were able to have the knowledge and the tools to protect yourself, but it does carry a lot of weight for the rest of your life. And I'm sorry you have to go through that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, like we were speaking, earlier about just having the right, to carry. I couldn't imagine not having a gun. Now people think, especially what's going on in this day of time with our new president and them, going after our Second Amendment rights and going after just targeting just gun, just the whole gun control thing is crazy because a lot of people don't know. I'm from Chicago, South Side of Chicago to be exact, Morgan Park. Criminals, they don't they don't obey the gun,
Right.
control. They just go right around it. They're gonna get guns regardless. Um, that guy, he had a gun illegally that day.
Hmm.
If I did not have the right to still carry my firearm, like you said, I would have, my son would have been potentially dead, and me too, and someone else, potentially. So because he had a gun regardless. His gun was, illegally purchased. He had a criminal history as long as my arm.
Yeah.
It wouldn't affected him. So I'm grateful that I had that right, and I did have a gun on me that day, because if not, it would went definitely sideways. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Michael, I want to talk about some of the good things, but kind of the weird things in your life too. Like at 23, your brain's supposed to be at a really high peak, and we're supposed to know really what's going on in the world. And you decide to become an FFL dealer.
And
Do
we
we
are
need to
FFL
talk?
dealers,
Do
so
we
we
need to talk?
understand.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the stuff you put yourself through to become an FFL dealer, come on.
Yeah. Well, you
Especially
guys,
in Illinois.
yes. Oh, Jesus Christ. There you go. Thanks. In Illinois, that's the biggest task too. A lot of people think, if I was in Arizona like you guys are in a free state. I was in Arizona, it'd be a whole lot better. But you guys understand that, you know, the stuff we go through because you guys are FLs as well, and there is like
Yeah.
AZ Firearms, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
yeah, you guys understand it's insane, especially here. The gun laws are very strict. At 23 years old, well, let me back up a little further. This is gonna be a long interview, I think.
That's
Back up a
okay. We
little
got the
further.
time.
Back up a little further. The reason why I got into the gun community, or even got into guns, was because of my son. I named my business after my son, MJ's Firearms. Is Mike Waller Jr. Firearms. Uh, I was 18 years old, 19 years old, excuse me. My son was born. I was not ready for a kid. I wanted to go to college and play basketball and do other things. Wasn't I always loved guns, but I was never really, into guns like that. I got into guns, right after high school. I always loved them, and we had guns in our house, not a lot, but we had, I understood the importance of a gun. I respected it too. But my son encouraged me to get a gun. I walked to a gun shop. It was local. Um, it was in Plano, Illinois. I went in Illinois. There's laws where you cannot purchase a handgun if you're under the age of 21. You have to have a FOI card. It's like actually a gun card you got to have in order to buy a gun. Um, you can only buy long guns. I'm 19, barely 19 years old. I walk in. I'm thinking I'm gonna go in there and buy me a nice gun I can conceal carry and have with me everywhere I go with my son. Didn't work that way. They're like, well, I'll go to purchase a Glock 19 or whatever gun. I think it was a car 9 or whatever handgun, and they told me I couldn't buy it because I wasn't 21. I was confused. He told me I can buy a rifle, so I bought the rifle. It was an AR-15 built by a local gunsmith called Jonas Hagos. He started a AR-15 manufacturing company in Yorkville, Illinois, which is the neighboring city, called Civilian Force Arms. Ended up working for them. Started off doing gunsmithing. There, I went to gunsmith school, AGI, American Gunsmith Institute. Started, got certified in building ARs. As I was working there, I ended up working my way up to lead armor. So I was like ahead of the whole, armory back there. We was building all the AR-15s and polymer like handguns and like 1911s and things like that. Right. That's what kind of got me into the whole gun industry thing. Went to SHOT Show, met a lot of people. I seen you there before, but I didn't probably know you at that time. And I think seen your husband too. But I was 19 years old at SHOT Show and having a good old time. And they went out of business like maybe 3 years later, unfortunately. When they went out of business, that's when I started mine. I was about 23. I got my FL, ended up applying for it. I was kind of nervous at first. I didn't know really how to, I knew little things, I watched the company there, how they did transfers and how they packaged that put the FFL license on the box and put all the customers' information in a box, the A&D books, and logging the guns out and logging them in, and things like that. I ended up speaking to a local friend who had an FFL for over 20 years, and he was like, "Hey, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. All you gotta do is just take care of your books. Make sure you got your guns logged in. Make sure they're filling out their 4473 forms and their 3310s, and you got their FOI card and driver's license and receipt. And as long as you do a background check on them, a next check, and you're good to go." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds really easy." He's like, "It is." I'm like, "So what's the downside behind this whole thing?" They're like, "Well, the feds can just come in and knock on your door anytime they want to, and ask you for this, and that." And I'm like, "Whoa!" And being a young African American male too, I don't like throwing the race card out there, but I know what world we live in.
Yeah.
It can be difficult at times. A lot of I actually had a run-in. I actually never told nobody about this. You guys are probably the only ones that do know now. But I actually had a small run-in where I was in Chicago and I was handing out business cards. The officer didn't hear me, Chicago police officer. He didn't hear me or see me giving him a business card. He just heard I was selling guns. And it was actually a big thing. They ended up coming to my house and they were like, "Oh, we heard you sell guns and, there's multiple police officers out there." I'm like, "Well, hey, man, I'm doing it the right way. I have an FFL license." He was like, "We don't care. We don't know what an FFL card is." I was like, "FFL card? What are you talking about?" They had no idea. A lot of cops, they especially in Chicago. I have full respect, brothers and sisters in blue all the way. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time,
They should know their job.
yeah,
Hello.
they should know. Yeah, they should have knew what that was. I ended up showing them my FOI card and concealed carry and driver's license. They seen I was never arrested or never even had a speeding ticket. Still to this day, and they still wanted to find out what I was selling and things like that. It got so far that they even called the ATF, and the ATF was like, "Hey, he's good. We
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
leave him alone." I told him like, get out of there. He's legal. He does have an FFL card.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get ours, babe. We never.
FFL card.
We've been in
You guys gotta
business
get
for
the
nearly
card. Yeah.
20 years. We don't have our card yet.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
my gosh.
Yeah, they didn't actually know what that was, but it's things like that you unfortunately, good you guys didn't have to go through that, but that's things that I deal with being a young African American and and not gun friendly. If I was in Arizona, to be honest with you, it probably would never happen.
Oh, but it is not easy still. But then, so you're 23 and you have an FFL, and then you open a range. Come on,
Yeah.
Mychael. Come on.
He is a sucker for
Come on, Mychael.
punishment.
It's
Mychael
like,
is.
what can I do that can get me more regulations?
Right? But you know what?
Yeah.
I just watched a video that you put on Facebook about the range, because it's an outdoor range. And you're just getting ready to build it, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
oh, it's you're up there on the whatever the thing is, removing trees and
That's
like,
better.
oh man, I'm like that. He is cut from the same cloth we are. If you
Oh
want
yeah.
something right, get in there, get your hands dirty, do it yourself.
Yeah. It's called the excavator. Yeah, I was on that thing, and that's another thing. FFL is one thing, but starting, to be honest with you, I honestly think this whole range thing is almost just as confusing as the FFL stuff. It's challenging, especially doing it by yourself and not really having all the support, or someone else, like a business partner or something like that. It can be challenging at times, but new range owner in Knoxville, Tennessee. I bought the business with it. It's called Protect One, so it's an outdoor shooting range. Got a 200-yard range on there now, multiple pistol ranges. Nothing really fancy. It's just a plot of land. I was always a goal of mine to buy some land, and coming from I was actually, as a kid, I was a whole lot more fortunate than a lot of other kids that grew up in Illinois or Chicago, whatever. A whole lot more privileged than most African Americans, even kids. They grew up, in their homes without their father and their mother at times, and it's unfortunate. But that's just what it is now. But I had my mom, my dad. Definitely appreciate them, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without my parents. So my mom, my dad was always there, and my mom was always there, right by my side, whatever I needed. And definitely grateful. Sisters, family, big, supportive family. So that's awesome. It definitely made the difference, because that's, I at times I have to humble myself and be like, oh man, Mike, if they weren't there, truthfully told, you probably wouldn't be doing all this stuff. And on top of that, you'd probably ended up like what the rest of the people that's, inside the inner city of Chicago. So it's a blessing, to be
Absolutely.
in.
So are in your family, are you the weird gun guy, or is everybody in your family kind of like, yeah, we kind of get this whole self-defense thing?
They do now. Even when it first started, like I was the basketball guy, and everybody they were like, man, I like that what Mike does. That's really cool. And people kind of gravitated towards me whenever I did things, because I always did it with a lot of passion and a lot of confidence. So when I actually switched over to guns, they were like, what? a year later, they're like, everybody has guns now.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
And they bought them from you.
My family, guns is the norm now. I encourage not just my immediate family, everybody in my family, we can talk about guns. We can have guns at the dinner table. It's just normal.
I
Awesome.
love it.
They probably won't admit that, but that's because of me.
Well, we won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Just our listeners. But You're an influencer. And that's the thing that I try to help people understand is that, if you just, talk to your sphere of influence, where whatever that is, how big or small it is, people that really don't know anything about guns, it's so easy to help them, understand, take them out to a range. And now you're building a range. So you're going to be able to help other people influence even more people. It's an amazing thing. And just congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's that. I appreciate it. The range is it's a work in progress, but I definitely it's became a new passion of mine. I got encouraged. What encouraged me to get into firearms training is obviously surviving the shooting. So
Mm.
I'm definitely looking forward to this new range opening and shooting and training on there. And you guys got to come out sometime. I love it. I'll be hosting an event August 14th and 15th. If you guys are available, it's an invite only. You guys are more than welcome to come.
Well, thank you.
You're awesome. I will check the calendar and we will talk off air. So does that mean then you have moved or you are moving to
Knoxville.
Knoxville?
No, I'm not. I want to move to Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's my goal. We
Mhm.
bought this house here in Illinois, right, literally months after the shooting, because that was, our goal to get, outside the city limits. And I have to just, I'll say it's probably more so like my funding. I'll have to make sure I have enough money to buy houses there and there. And I don't know if I have the funds right now to buy multiple houses in different states and, in ranges and stuff like that. It's a lot to take in. 26
Sure.
years old. I gotta kind of budget myself. Here, hold on one second. Go back there, Ray. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's all
You
right.
learn in school and stuff.
We're
But,
all doing that. I
yeah.
have my grandchildren here at least 2 days a week with that computer jabbering away at them and them doing independent learning.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that at all. If I'm not sitting right there, my granddaughter's like, "Oh, I've got something to do in the other room." So I get it.
Yeah. So, sorry, I lost my whole train of thought behind that now. So, but yeah.
Well, you were thinking about, you're going to move to Tennessee
Tennessee,
Mhm.
yeah.
when you get,
Just the
yeah.
funding and making sure you can budget everything. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah,
and that's
Chattanooga that's my goal. I want to do that this year. Um, but I just realized it's kind of like I don't really have to be there. I'm setting the range up. My vision for the range is just to be a safe space where like-minded people like us or firearms instructors can go there to train and like host events and stuff like that.
Right.
So all I want to do really is just rent the range out in the space for other people to come and shoot and train. I want to put a steel building on there also, where it's like a big team room where you know we can come there and just wind down after training and stuff like that, like probably like put pool tables and lounging area in there after shooting. Okay, man. Yeah, so
absolutely. Well, we've been married 36 years, coming up in April. We've been self-employed pretty much that whole time, and multiple different small businesses that only one of them actually crashed and burned and didn't end up doing any good at all. But
You baby step it.
you baby step it. And the reason that most businesses do end up crashing and burning is lack of financial, like, do you have a cushion? So I think you're very smart to be keeping that in the forefront of your mind about, not just getting impulsive and just being like, oh, it'll all just work out. I'll just get 9 mortgages. So
Plus the amount of knowledge you'll gain while you're building your money up, you're going to learn things, and so don't be afraid of, it just takes time. It just takes time.
absolutely.
yeah, I
Well,
appreciate that.
absolutely. This has been awesome. It sounds like you have things happening over there, and I am just so excited that you had the time to come and talk to us. I know you were just at this WAFT training, and I was thrilled that the date that I needed you, you were actually back from that and available. So can you tell us just a little bit about that? Like, what is the WAFT training? Is that something that's open to the public? Is that something that is just an industry thing? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man, so many things I can tell you about it. It's I mean it's a great facility. I mean, big shout out to Phil and Di. They're great people. I mean, immediately the moment after I met them, it was like like family. Like I'm like, man, these people are great. I'm gonna actually post a picture later on, and give you guys a brief story on how I felt and how I feel about even their training facility. It'll be posted on my Instagram page, MJ's Firearms at 33. So, wow, whew, Tactical Disneyland. They definitely lived up to the name. Uh, that place there is actually a magical training facility. It is insane. A lot. One thing I actually love about it, and I actually told Di in person, in front of everybody. A lot of training companies, and I understand not everybody believes in God and stuff, but before we do anything, before we eat, they cater. Di's husband, cooked every single time you're there, breakfast and lunch. Before you do anything, they immediately they pray first, which is great.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Diana and Ryan Muller. Yeah. 3-gun competitors. Yeah. Great people.
I mean, they do it all, and you know that is very important. A lot of training companies and even training events and brand ambassador academies, whatever, they don't do that, and that's something I feel like that needs to be done. If that's just my opinion. Now to the facility part. The facility is crazy. You have multiple different locations where you can train. They have the blade room, they have the low light room, they have the range room. Actually, it's the rifle range room. It's a range outside, but there's half of it is inside, and they can open up like the door, and you can shoot from inside outside. It's insane. Low light room. It's all these different lights. It challenges you. I was killed like 4 times in there. You got the actual, I believe what's the name of that? I forgot the name of the actual room, but it's right next to the low light room. But that's where they do the like the actual UTM rounds training, where like the simulation where you can actually put on the mask and you walk through. It's like it puts you in like real world situations. I was killed like 4 times in there too. I still got bruises all on me training there, but it was great.
And you're probably the only one there that actually did survive a real life encounter, and then you're in this training thing, and
I'm
you're
killed
getting
like 8
picked off.
Yeah.
That's so
The
funny.
crazy thing is, and Phil didn't know this. I didn't put it against him, but he actually put me through a situation where a scenario where it was exactly what I actually went through in real life, and he didn't know that. And that was the only one I actually did pass. I killed him for sure.
You're like, I've got experience here, right?
Yeah.
It's like not my
Yeah,
first rodeo.
I'm like, I know this one. All right.
Oh man.
But it was great. They cater, I mean, everything. I mean, immediately after training, it was a hot day. We got ice cream, all you can eat. It's pool. You can literally jump in the pool after you're done training. There's pistol ranges here, rifle ranges there, and you don't have to walk anywhere. They give you these carts, and you can drive all over the property. Jesus, I mean, the people there, the network they have there is insane. I'm shooting on a range with 3-gun Beth and
Awesome.
Jerry Michalak and Lena Michalak. It was just insane. I was shooting, I'll tell you a small story. I was actually shooting in a pistol range, and don't tell Jerry Mitchell like this, but he pulled me to the side and he's teaching me some stuff. And it was his daughter just got done doing a small class with us, right? She's a smaller frame. She has a different technique of shooting. She's oh, you got to get your stance here. Everybody practice this. And she's so she's like, our stance got to be right. Because I'm not as strong, and you got to lean forward, and you got to have a good grip. And I'm like, all right, so I'm doing it, and then I go train with her father. Her father's like, "Why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
What did you tell me? He's like, you don't have to do that. You're too strong for that. All you gotta do is point the gun out, have a good sight picture, pull the trigger. And he sat there with like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just working with me. And it seems like that. Like I would have never thought, like, hey, I'll be on the range with Jerry Mitchell, and we'll be shooting, and
Wow.
he's gonna teach me and pull me aside for a whole hour or such, and actually show me how to run a gun.
Wow.
Crazy, like
Like pinch
people you meet
yourself,
there-
right?
yeah,
Is this real life?
the people you meet there, it was insane. I felt so comfortable. It was actually mostly women. I actually never trained with in a class that was actually 80% women, and that was actually really great. I thought that was really dope. I loved all the women that was there. It was a great opportunity. I go actually Diana, she actually had me speak in front of the class to tell them about my story.
Oh,
Because when I
wow.
was there, they were like, "Oh, I saw you at CCA. I saw you in the magazine." And da, da, da. I'm like, "Oh man, that's great." But a lot of them didn't know the in detail story. And when she had me speak in front of the whole class, ever since that situation happened, I never really shedded a tear. I was like, "Oh, I'm all right." I
Mm,
cried like a baby.
yeah.
I cried like
Yeah.
a baby that day.
Yeah.
I was actually, but it felt good. I was like,
Yeah.
man, though, and I was just super happy because it happened when I don't care who it happens around, but it happened in front of all those women. I turned my head, I looked my head up, and they're all crying. Next thing you know, they asked me another question, and I started. It was a mess, but it was great though. I mean,
Awesome.
I definitely appreciate Diana for that. I mean, that was
I love
definitely,
that.
I needed that. It,
Yeah. And I
it was
think
a great
I think the
event.
ladies, probably needed that too when you share
Oh,
something like that.
they all
It's
came
such
up
a
to me.
oh yeah, such a
They were
bonding
like,
thing,
yeah, they all started. I looked up and they're all the women are crying, the whole class. I'm like, good God.
right? So
But
now you gotta
it was a great time. If anyone has not trained there and is looking for that's actually, it's called the Ambassadors Academy. It's actually
mm,
for people who are uh, 2A influencers or ambassadors in the gun community. Even if it's not about your Instagram following or anything like that, if you feel like you have that gift, or if you want to, if you call yourself an ambassador, go sign up.
hmm
Don't let that price uh, discourage you or run you away.
hmm
It's worth every single dollar. You got 5 days of training. I believe last time I looked, it was 3,500. It's worth every penny.
I believe
It
it.
you get so much out of it. Um, it's it's definitely something you won't get anywhere else. It's different. I talked about Kevin Dixie, his event. That's an event in itself. That's a KD's event. You're not gonna get that event nowhere else. That's just KD.
I
Uh,
get to speak at that this year. I am super
that's great.
excited.
That's great. Yeah. See, I mean, but that's an event you're only going to get there.
hmm
WAFT is an event you're only going to get there. It's only
hmm
certain people, a certain,
hmm
events that you're going to have, and those are, some of the ones in the WAFT is definitely it. You can't, don't let it discourage you guys. I mean, if anyone is wants to get into it, go check out the WAFT on Instagram. They actually have a link to their website there. You can sign up for any of their classes. They have not just the Ambassador Academy is only, I believe, held once a year. I think they're planning on changing that to 3 times a year. But right now, I believe it's only 1 time a year. But they have classes and stuff like that where you can sign up for even less, lesser money than that 3,500, where you can get a lot of those same, you can learn a lot of those same skills and actually go take some of those classes. So
It's an investment, right? It's not an expense,
it's an
it's an
investment into
investment.
yourself and to your business. So I encourage everybody to go train. So huge shout out to Diana and Phil and all of them at WAF. I encourage everybody to go train there for sure.
Man, and I got to get there next year. I got to clear my calendar somehow. All
Yeah.
right, we need to wrap up. My goodness, Mychael Waller Sr., tell folks how they can follow you and your journey.
Well, you can follow me at Facebook at MJ's Firearms LLC, Instagram at MJ's Firearms 33. Now TikTok at MJ's Firearms 33 as well, and then YouTube at MJ's Firearms.
What about your website for your gun
Website
shop?
is mjsfirearms.com.
Okay.
That's online, so you can go on there if you guys need to purchase. You guys are interested and purchasing handguns or rifles, anything like that, ammunition, accessories, and things like that. I'll have it all listed on there.
So you can ship a gun directly to my house, huh, Michael?
I don't
No.
think so. That was a tricky question because I'm thinking like most
FFL to FFL, yeah.
I felt that. I was about to say yes. The ATF was gonna come knock on my door. Like I didn't know if you had an FFL register to your home. I was like, yeah, but no, not to your house. But I can ship one to your gun shop. Seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've got to get our FFL card before we can do any
Yes,
of that.
I
So
know.
we're
Yeah,
gonna.
we can't do that without an FFL card.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
All
Michael.
right.
Thank you very much.
You, Michael
Thank you, guys.
Waller, MJ's Firearms. We so appreciate you. Thank you. God
Thank you.
bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, my stars. He is so awesome. I just love him. We got to meet him in person at one of the SHOT Show. It was kind of an announcement party for a friend, Argo J. He was unveiling a new AR
Right.
platform, firearm, and just, I don't know. Like he said, you just the minute you meet certain people, you just feel a connection,
Right.
and, you know, a familiarity and a family feel. And he definitely is that.
But he has an FFL. How smart can he be?
I know.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
what are you doing, you know, with your life that you want to put yourself not only with the FFL, but then the range. But you know what? If the next generation, if the younger people aren't doing it, then the other side wins by default. So
Right.
you
No.
go, Michael. We are proud of
Yes.
you. We're excited. And we will definitely be trying to check out that thing in August that you're going to be doing.
Right. We're running kind of long, so it's time to say goodbye.
All right, we shall. All right. So thank you so much again to Michael. Thank you to our amazing listeners all over the planet. If you want to watch any of our shows, the video version, go to Ops Lens smartphone app, YouTube until they kick us off, or Gunstreamer. Those are the video platforms that we're mostly found on. And then the audio version, go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, click the On Demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content.
Darling.
If you want to learn more about our guests that we've had on, our subject matter experts, click the guest tab. There's photos and bios and links to all the works that.
Oh my.
That's cute. I kind of like that. That our guests have done and been involved in. And until next time, what are we going to do?
Now's the time to say goodbye.
Now's the time to pray for our nation.
Yes. We need to pray hard, like double duty prayers.
For
He said
reals.
duty.
He said duty. Pray for our leaders.
Yes. Pray
All-
for our leaders.
All of them, Dan?
Pray for even that one.
Even the ones you don't like.
Even that one.
Maybe especially the ones you don't like.
Triple.
All right. Be good to each other. Have a great week. And